Are you overlooking a key checkpoint when it comes to evaluating your corn crop?
If you're like most farmers, you have an expectation for what every single one of your fields is going to yield. And then after planting, you go out and you compare your expectation with your stand. Do we have enough plants to achieve that yield or not? Then the next major checkpoint is after pollination. Do I have enough kernels? And if my kernel count is low, what other things can I do to increase that kernel weight and make sure this field yields up to what I want it to do? But there's another key checkpoint that often gets overlooked. And what I'm talking about is V6 plant mass and canopy closure. My name is Dan Emmert. I'm an agronomy lead at Advanced Agrilytics, and I'm going to tell you why is canopy closure a good indicator of if we're on track or not. Well, I'm not talking about closing the canopy at some point. I'm talking about trying to have those leaves crossing over by the time we hit V6, or especially within 40 days after planting. And why is that important? Well, if we think about it, what are those leaves doing? Number one, they are capturing sunlight, and through the process of photosynthesis, they're converting that into energy that is going to be used for growth to continue to build these plants and make bigger and bigger plants. And if we get off to a slow start, small plants are going to have less energy to grow compared to big plants, and they're going to get further and further behind. Now also, as we think about what are those leaves doing, well, as they close over the canopy and they are shading that row, they're preventing the sunlight from hitting the ground. That keeps that ground temperature cooler. In fact, in this field today, it's 90 degrees, it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Where we have these leaves crossing over and the canopy is more closed, that surface temperature of the soil is 103. In some areas where these plants did not get off to as good of a start, that surface temperature is currently about 120 to 125 degrees. It's making a difference. Now let's think through, one, that's impacting our biological populations. Two, that's impacting our evaporation rate. As we have hotter soils, that's evaporating more moisture versus conserving that moisture, keeping it in the soil where the roots have access to it and they can pull it through that plant through a process called evapotranspiration to be released through the leaves and cool itself off. Kind of like when I sweat, similar process. And actually, when I did some canopy measurements on these bigger plants, the stalk temperatures, the canopy temperature was about 100 degrees. Where those plants were smaller, it's 109 on some V6, V7 plants. So that's a big deal. But the other thing, as those plants pull in moisture, they're also pulling in nutrients. And so as we think about, we could have two plants at V6 or V7. Let's say one weighs 20 grams and the other one only weighs 15 grams. Well, guess what? That 20-gram plant has taken up 25% more nutrients. We have 3% nitrogen in both plants. 3% of 20 is more than 3% of 15 last time I checked. So what we're doing is we're establishing those plants as kind of almost like you could call it a plant growth spiral. We get big plants, they continue to grow faster, they get bigger and bigger and bigger and further ahead. Whereas if we start off with small plants, they're going to have a hard time catching up, and everything is going to have to go right from here on out to achieve that yield expectation that we started with back last November, January, whenever we started planning for this season. So we've got several strategies that we use here at Advanced Agrilytics to achieve that, make sure that plants don't get behind, starting with understanding that field environment and then understanding how we can manipulate some of our other applications to make sure that those acres of the field that aren't as conducive to early growth have just as good of a shot to maximize that plant growth. If you're interested in learning more about it, please reach out to your local agronomist or go to our website at advancedagrilytics.com. Thanks.